Hi, everyone. My name is Julia,
And I'm Katie.
and we're the hosts of the Runways and Byways travel podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about studying abroad, specifically in Spain. I did this a few years ago in 2017, and I never really told Katie about the full experience. I told her here and there that it was super fun, but I never told her any of the details of it, and I'm sure it would be interesting to all of our listeners also. So, we really wanted to talk about that today. But, Katie, do you have anything to say?
No, I just wanted to say that recently in my YouTube history, it's all study abroad things because that's something I never got to do in college. And it's just something that I'm so fascinated by the idea of going abroad and meeting new people and having classes abroad. So I'm really excited to learn what it was like for you in Spain.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it, especially because I haven't talked about it in so long. It's been years, and it was always such a big experience in my life, but recently it just kind of got pushed out of my head because adulting. So I'm excited to bring back those days. Are we ready for the trivia question?
I am ready.
Okay, so this week is my week, and I don't think this is super hard. You might know this. It has come up in my research of questions a lot, and it probably came up in yours too, honestly. But I'm going to say it anyway because I've been wanting to do it for a while. And I think it's pretty relevant today because Katie and I were talking about learning languages earlier today, and this has to do with that. So, ready?
Yes.
Okay. The question is, what is the most multilingual country in the world? Multilingual. Yes.
Oh. Um,
Do you think you know it?
I think I actually have an idea
Really?
because I feel like I've heard of it before, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to save my answer until the very end.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you get it. And then I actually decided I'm not even going to tell you this, but I'm thinking of making a bonus question for this one.
Oh,
I'm going to tell you at the end though.
okay. I'm really excited. I love multiple trivia questions.
I thought of it in the bathroom today. I was like, that's perfect.
Oh,
So
yay.
so it's a two-parter. So I'm thinking like maybe the main question will be 1 point and then the bonus question, maybe I can give you like a half a point if you got it right.
Amazing.
It's just for fun, but
Mm. I don't know
okay.
about fun, but
Healthy competition.
yeah, toxic.
So toxic. It's like ruining our friendship.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It totally is. All for that drink.
Yes. All
Okay.
right.
That I'll probably throw up anyways. Okay.
Oh gosh. Just like Nashville, you guys know.
Yep, we already discussed that. Watch our last episode if you're wondering. Okay, so Katie, as she mentioned before, she's never done study abroad, so I did this on my own. So she's going to be interviewing me for this,
hmm
and she's prepared some questions for me.
Yes. Should I just jump right into it?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Okay, so studying abroad. My first question for you is why did you want to study abroad? Because obviously there's so many people out there who want to study abroad, but I feel like everybody's reasons are slightly different. So what is your reason?
I always wanted to study abroad. I mean, you know this better than anyone. I just love traveling so much, and I just wanted to see the whole world ever since I was young. So when I got into college, like the first thing I wanted to do was study abroad. And I think it just, I don't know what took me so long, but I think I finally decided to do it. But what was that, sophomore year, maybe? Was that sophomore year?
Um,
I think it was
yeah, it
2017.
was. It was.
Yeah, so that was after our Austria trip. So Katie and I were already friends because that was freshman year that Katie and I met. And I decided to study abroad sophomore year. I actually wanted Katie to study abroad with me. So this is kind of part of the story that Katie's involved in. And we went to the study abroad office. And at that point, I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. I just knew I wanted to go somewhere. And Katie, what were your thoughts?
So Julie and I were friends, as mentioned, because of Austria, but we weren't at the level of super close best friends yet. I remember I bumped into Julia on the way to class or something like that. And I was like, oh, what are you up to? And she's like, oh, I just had a meeting about study abroad. And I was like, wait, what? And like something just clicked in me. And I was like, I want to do that. And I think there were some options of countries to go to. I think Norway was involved.
Norway,
Ireland.
Australia.
Ireland was definitely in there.
Yeah.
And of course, Italy.
Italy. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So all of those countries were involved. And from there, we just had a bunch of meetings about where we wanted to go.
Yeah, so we were meeting with the head of the study abroad department, and she was trying to fit a study abroad into our schedules that won't throw us off too much with our major. But there turns out there wasn't really anything that our majors had in common or even where we wanted to go, because she was saying, "Do you want to go to Italy?" And I was like, "Yeah, Italy would be great." And Katie remembers this. We joke about this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
that she was actually trying to get me to change my major to food and wine so that way I could go to Italy.
And it was just funny because like she was like, oh, biology, food and wine, they both have lab. And Julie was like, what?
No.
It was just so funny. And
So funny.
yeah, at the end of the day, there was just nothing that fit into either of our schedules in terms of credits for the study abroad, which was sad.
Was there anything that fit into yours teaching wise? Because Katie majored in education. I don't know if we ever mentioned that before. Was there
Yeah.
anything? There was?
No, not really. I think there was like a few classes for Ireland, but I just kind of felt like it wasn't worth the experience. Like it was kind of going out of my way. I think I'd probably honestly have to like redo a semester later on. So it just wasn't worth it for me.
Yeah, that actually is what happened with that was my situation with Australia, because Australia fit in with mine with biology and the classes I needed to take, but I was already slightly behind, and it would have pushed me back even further, because
Mm,
you know that I had issues deciding my major, and I think I changed my major 8 or 9 times in the beginning. And so I was a little behind because I joined my major kind of late to the game. And so when they were trying to get me to go to Australia, which I would have loved to do, but it just didn't fit in, and I would have been in college for so much longer, and I didn't really want to do that either. So I figured I'd make it to Australia in my own time.
yeah, it's so hard with these study abroad programs, which we'll get into, but it's really something you need to, if you know you want to do it, think ahead of time, even before you even pick a college, like what would go best with it. But
Yeah, if you're that set on it, I totally
um,
agree, because we really had a difficult time finding a study abroad. Like Katie said, she wasn't even able to find anything. And I found
mhm.
something, but it was not easy.
Yeah, so let's get into that. So study abroad didn't work for both of us, but it did work for you with Spain. So why Spain and how did that work?
So I forgot how I found out about the trip actually, but I was minoring in Spain. I mean, not minoring, minoring in Spanish. I was minoring in Spanish. So, and I found out about the Spain trip, how they were offering classes in Spain for people that were majoring and minoring in Spanish. So I was like, oh, that would actually be perfect. And one of my friends, we weren't super close at the time. We are now, but back then we kind of barely knew each other. We just had like a couple classes together and we're more acquaintances. And I knew she was minoring in Spanish. At least I think she was, or maybe she just liked Spanish. I don't know. I'll ask her later. But I told her about the trip, and I asked her if she wanted to go. And I told her like the down payment was $800. And she was like, oh, yeah, I have that in my bag right now. Cause she was a waitress. So she always had like tons of cash. And she was like, I could give the deposit right now. And I was like, whoa, okay. So that's kind of when it became real.
Wait, did she actually put the deposit down with all cash in that moment?
I think she did. She probably looked like a stripper, like pulling
That's
out
kind of iconic.
singles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's so spontaneous. I love that.
right. I know. And so that's kind of how it all happened. Yeah, like I said before, like I don't remember how I found out about the trip, but it kind of just all came together so fast. And I was like, wait, I'm going to Spain. So, I
Wow.
mean, obviously it took a little convincing with my parents. It wasn't all that easy, but it worked out. And my parents were on board with it because they wanted me to experience the world, because they know I love traveling. And it wasn't like I was just ditching school to do it. I was doing school there. So it worked out perfect.
That's really cool. So to add to that, were there any prereqs that you had to do or anything like that?
So there wasn't any true prereqs, but if you didn't know any Spanish, you can go, and they would put you into the beginners class. But if you took some classes already, you would get credits on top of that for additional classes that you take in Spain as Spanish credits for your minor. And they tested us when we got to Spain. So I got put into the intermediate level class. So they had 3 classes. They had like the beginner class, and even some people in the beginner class had some experience. They just didn't know as much as the intermediate and advanced classes. And the advanced class was pretty advanced. I heard some of them talk. I was like, what's going on? And
Wow.
I'm pretty good at Spanish. So that was it was pretty advanced. But yeah, so I got put into the intermediate class. So there was no prereqs per se, but it was the more credits you had, I guess, the better, because you would get put into a better class or you'd get closer to finishing your minor. Kind of difficult to explain.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So another question I have is, what was the process like to get there? From the month that you decided to do it until you got there, did you have to fill out any paperwork, write any essays, anything like that?
Yeah, so there was always the standard application for the trip. You know, you just always have to fill it out with your information. That's standard for any school trip you'd go on, whether it's study abroad or short term. So there was that. And then there was a bunch of meetings to discuss the trip and what would be going on, because we would be there for a long time. So it's not just, all right, let's go. There was a lot of preparing. So part of the preparing was we had to fill out a survey for selection for where we're going to be staying, because we were staying with families in Spain.
Wow.
So for example, the survey would ask, do you want to stay in a house where the person smokes? Do you want the person to know any English, or is all Spanish okay? Are pets okay? So they had a long survey like that. You fill out all your preferences, and then they had families already selected, and they would match you up to which family fit your preferences the best. So for smoking, I said no, I don't want to breathe that in all the time. English, I said that they can speak English. If they don't, it's okay. And pets, I said yes, pets. So they put me with a non-smoking family. She didn't speak a lick of English, which was a little hard, and she had a dog. So I'd say they matched my selections pretty well. And it was only me staying there. Some houses had a couple of people staying in them, I believe, maybe, but mine was just me.
Were there any options if you didn't feel comfortable staying with the family to rent an apartment, anything like that, or like a dorm?
No, on this particular trip, everyone was matched to a family.
Okay.
But I don't think anyone had any issues with their families. As far as I knew. I mean, my family was actually the most quote unquote difficult out of all of them, because it was a single woman and she had 2 kids. And by kids, I mean, they're like our age, maybe a little older actually. And she worked nights. She was a janitor at the hospital. And so she was never home. So, and when I wanted to have people over, she was sleeping. So it was just kind of a strange dynamic. I never really built a relationship with her because she was sleeping when I was awake. We were just always opposite schedules. And it was a little sad in class hearing all the other people saying how much they bonded with their host families. And I'm like, I barely know mine.
Wow.
I mean, she did what she could for me. She would always cook for me, which was really nice of her because I know her schedule was very difficult. And I mean, no hate, like she was really awesome. It was just
No hate.
she was really great. It's just compared to everyone else's family, I guess I kind of had the worst one, but she was not bad at all.
I mean, honestly, good for you for doing that, because I feel like that's something that would stop me from doing study abroad, because I'm just very shy and I like my own space. So for you to just go in and be with a family in her house, that takes a lot of bravery.
It was hard too, because I went into someone's house and I didn't fully speak their language.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of hard talking. There was a few times where we were able to have dinner together and we were trying to talk. And I was like, I know what you're saying, but I can't respond. Like, because I'm just like, I can't talk that fast. And like the conversations are so fast paced, and I have to kind of work out what I'm going to say in my head. And by the time I work it out, they're already annoyed and don't want to talk to me anymore. So it's like,
that's hard.
Yeah. So like, I understand it. It's just, I'm slow. And it's very hard when you're trying to sit at dinner with someone and have a conversation, and I'm just doing math in my head trying to figure out grammar.
I mean, I'm sure it helped you improve your skills a bit, right?
Definitely. Yeah. I was pretty good at talking to people at the end of that trip, and I've lost some of my ability since then. I really grew a lot with my Spanish speaking from that trip.
Nice. Awesome. That sounds really fun. Even though a little scary, but really fun.
It was, but the part that helped with the scariness, I guess, was the fact that they were never around.
True. And also,
So,
you were gone during the day, which brings me to my next question. What is a day in the life of studying abroad? Is it all fun? Is it all classes? Is it a mix? What was your experience?
okay, so I'll take you through my typical day. I don't remember the exact hours of class, but it was about like a normal like elementary school length day, I
Like
guess.
8 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
Yeah, give or take.
Mm.
So we went to the school, we took our classes. I was taking two classes. And honestly, I didn't really know what the difference between them was. I think I had the same teacher for both. So it kind of just felt like one class.
Yeah.
And so we would go to those classes. And then after school, I would go to dance classes. I went to cooking classes.
Wow.
And I would walk to and from school from the apartment. It wasn't very far. I'd say less than a mile, maybe a mile. It was not crazy. It was nothing crazy. So on my walk, I would pass El Corte Inglés, which is a huge department store. I'd say the closest similarity to it in the United States would be Macy's, but there's really no comparison. It's huge. It's really cool. I love El Corte Inglés. I would go there all the time and buy a ton of things. We would go to this restaurant called La Mary, which was just a typical restaurant. Honestly, I don't know why we liked it that much, but it was really good and they had good walk. So it was, I don't know, it wasn't even really good. It was okay. It was just okay. But we would always go all the time. It was just kind of our thing.
Was it cozy, maybe?
It was cozy.
Yeah, that's probably why.
It was kind of like a tea party garden type feeling.
Oh, that's so cute.
It was really cute. Yeah. So we would go there a lot and I liked the guacamole there. And looking back, I mean, I've had better guacamole, but it was just a fun thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And did I ever mention even where I studied abroad in Spain? I don't think I did. I studied abroad in a city called León, which is kind of northwest of Spain. No, idiot. Northwest of Madrid. It's not a very big city. I do think it is considered a city, but it's not very crowded. You
Mm,
almost feel like you're walking through just a normal town when you're walking through the streets, but I do think they consider it a city.
mm.
I went to the University of León. That's where I took my Spanish classes. And yeah, I would walk to and from school every day, go to El Corte Inglés because it was on my way. And like I said before, not everyone was in the same apartment. So everyone had their own specific walks to school. Mine just happened to be passing that department store, but there was some other people that would have to pass through Plaza Mayor, which is where they have all the bars and restaurants and where it gets lively.
Mm.
And so we all kind of had our own unique routes. And there was a big cathedral in Leon called, I think, just Cathedral of Leon or Leon Cathedral. I don't think it had any specific name. I think I got an A- in both classes. I could have gotten an A. I really could have. I was just hungover. But if I was not hungover, I think I could have gotten A's. But
I don't know if we mentioned this, but how long did you go for?
no, we didn't mention this. So I was there for the whole summer.
So from June to August?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was there for the summer break.
Fun.
And it was a good enough amount of time. Like it wasn't too long that I was like, I have to get home. I think it was the perfect amount of time for me.
Perfect.
And
So what were you going to say?
what were you gonna say?
I was going to talk about, did you do anything else besides classes and getting drunk in your town?
Well, yeah, like I mentioned before, I took dance classes and I took cooking classes.
That sounds like fun. Like what kind of dance classes?
So it was just a general Spanish dance class. So I learned bachata, other Spanish dances.
So wait, did you have to take the classes or was that a choice?
No, okay, so I don't remember. I know you didn't have to take both, but I don't remember if you had the option to take neither. So I wound up taking both because originally I was only going to take cooking, I believe, because you've seen me dance. Anyone that knows me knows I have no rhythm. I have two left feet.
No, you're really good at bachata.
Okay, bachata I'm good at, but everything else I'm not.
I
Bachata is
don't
the
know.
only dance I'm
I
good
feel
at.
like you're pretty good.
That you're the first person that's ever said that to me.
It's true because I feel like every time we do bachata, you're like, "This is how you do it," and you're like doing it, and you're like really like fluid.
because that's the only dance I'm good at. So I really
Yeah, but no, I
show
didn't know
off when,
that.
yeah, I'll show you like literally any other dance. You'll be like, what the hell? I'm
No, but
so
it's not
bad.
like I know the dance, so I don't think I'd be judging. I'd be like, wow, you know so much.
Well, I'll show you my actual dance. I'm surprised you don't really know my actual dance skills. Now, did you see me dancing in New Orleans when that guy was trying to teach me
You were so good.
what?
Maybe it's just because I actually have no rhythm.
Is
And
it
I'm not even being
possible?
hard on myself. I don't. I kind of like do my own thing. But I think you're very good with a partner. If somebody was gonna come up to you and start dancing, you're very good going with the flow. Like, I mean, you saw when he asked me to dance, I was like, no. And it's not because like I thought he was weird or anything, but I just hate when people touch me. I hate having to move with somebody. I don't like that. Like, I'm not good at that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want it either, but he was
But
going
you're
to
good
teach
at
me
it though.
how to dance to like that Southern music, and I was like, all right, teach me how to dance to Southern
Mm,
music. And I knew he wasn't hitting on me because he was old, so I was like, all right. But I mean, I don't think I was good. I was falling all over the place.
you weren't. You were actually very good.
Really? Aw,
Yeah. Yeah.
aw.
You're gonna have to help me when I move because I need to do square dancing and that's gonna be tricky.
I have not square danced since fourth grade with my dad at the Girl Scouts dance,
That's so cute.
but I'm willing to relearn.
Perfect. So that sounds like fun. So you had some classes in the evening, and
Yeah, it was like right after school.
that's fun. I mean, I feel like that would be a lot for me, but you're good with energy. So
Yeah, it was a lot on some days, especially because I was like always so tired
yeah.
from all my extravaganzas at night.
But so my next question is, did you do anything outside of Leon? Did you go on any excursions or was it just in the city for the whole time?
Yeah, we went on a lot of excursions. To begin the trip, we actually flew into Madrid because I don't know if León has an airport. I honestly have no idea, but I'm leaning towards no. So I think Madrid is the closest airport, or at least the closest large airport. So the trip actually started off in Madrid. We had a few days in Madrid. Then we went to Toledo, which is a medieval type style town. And
Wow.
that was honestly one of my favorite parts of Spain was Toledo. And we went to Segovia, which I actually recently wrote an article about on my blog about Segovia, so I could talk a lot about that.
I actually
Um,
want to know about that, even like not in the podcast in real life, because remember I was telling you I've been watching study abroad videos. She does study abroad in Segovia, but for all of college, all 4 years.
really? Oh,
Yeah, and
wow.
it's really interesting. So I want to know more about Segovia, but
Yeah, we could honestly do a whole podcast about just Segovia.
I would totally do that.
Yeah,
And then
Segovia
maybe
is
she
so
would
pretty.
watch or she'd listen. That'd be so cool.
Oh, that'd be fun. I mean, she
Yeah.
probably knows more about Segovia than I do because I did a day trip and she's been there for 4 years. But
Yeah.
they have a beautiful castle there. It's like very fairy tale.
Mm,
I loved Segovia. I would 100% go back to Segovia. I
you
wish
should
I had
go.
more than a day there, but you don't really need more than a day there. I think I saw everything I needed to see in Segovia, but I just loved it.
Awesome.
So that's Segovia. We could talk more about that later if we want.
I do want.
I went to this place called Astorga, and honestly, I don't really remember much about Astorga. Nothing really to write home about. They had a cathedral, which is what they're most famous for, and I do remember the cathedral. It was very pretty, but other than the cathedral, I don't really remember much about Astorga. We went to Las Medulas, which are these beautiful. When I think Las Medulas, I think Arizona. I don't like not like they're
Oh.
like these big orange mountains, maybe like more Utah, like big orange mountains, but they're like surrounded by trees, very beautiful. Like they're like I don't know if it's a canyon per se, but really pretty. I feel like I have to put up a picture to show you. And I'm
Mm.
gonna try to put pictures into the YouTube video. I'm still working on my editing skills, but if I can put pictures into this and figure it out, then I will. Because I really don't know how to describe it, but they're these big, beautiful orange mountains, maybe. Maybe they're mountains. I'm not really sure. Very, very pretty though. Look up a picture.
I'm getting the vibe of
Yeah.
it.
And they actually had caves that we went into. So we had to put on hard hats and go into the caves. And it was
Ooh, that's scary.
it was scary, and I didn't really want to go in because I was like claustrophobic, but
Yeah. Oh, I'm so claustrophobic.
because they weren't like big caves, they were like tight caves.
Oh, I'm looking at pictures. It's absolutely beautiful.
It really is.
Wow.
And I actually kind of forgot that I went there because I don't know, like it just kind of blended in with the rest of the trip because we just did so many things. But when I was going through my pictures before, I was like, oh my God, how did I forget about that? Like just
Yeah.
gorgeous view. So that was Las Medulas. We did go on a lot of other excursions. We took a trip to a lake and we swam in the lake. We had like a little picnic there. I don't remember the name of the lake, but it was like a Spanish countryside type vibe. So we did that for a day. That was a day trip. I did this on my own. I went to this city called Gijón, which is north of Madrid. It's on the north coast of Spain. And Gijón was really cool. The weather was a little strange that day because it was like it wasn't sunny. It was kind of like a really like dreary type vibe. But there was so many fun things to do in Gijón. We went to the aquarium. So it's kind of like a beach town. We went to the aquarium. We went to the beach, and we didn't really go to the beach because, like I said, the weather was weird, but we walked down the beach and we went to these restaurants that they had on the beach, and the restaurants were shaped like cruise ships, so that was kind of cool. When you look out at the restaurants, it looks like you're just looking at a bunch of cruise ships.
Wow.
And we ate at one of them, and they have this interesting drink there, and you have to pour it. I'm not really sure what it was. It was good though. It was like, I think it was yellow, and I have a video of us pouring it. Maybe I could see if I could put it somewhere eventually for you to see. But you have to hold it really high and pour it into your cup from like as high as you can hold it up. I'm not really sure why you have to do that, or if it's just a
Yeah, I was
thing
like,
that they
why do you
do.
have to do that?
I don't know. I'm not sure if you have to or if it's just a thing that they do, but you hold it like really, really high and pour it in, and we tried to do it and I missed.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, because I have bad aim. But it was just something that made Gijón really unique. So we were only there for a day, but it was just a really fun time, and we went out on like the rocks that they had into the water, and we're just sitting on the rocks looking out to the water. It was really a fun day.
Mm.
So that was Gijón. I went there on my own. Like I said before, I think we took the bus actually.
So you went with like
Um,
a group of friends, or did you go
yeah.
by yourself?
Yeah, I went with a group of friends, or maybe we took the
Nice.
train. There was a train station in León, which is how we got around to a lot of places.
That's cool.
Yeah, we took bus or train, I forgot. And we went to, this is not Gijón now, I'm talking about another excursion. We went to these caves, and they were like mine caves, I guess you could call them. They were a lot bigger than the other caves that we went to. They weren't as claustrophobic. And I think they were called Cueva de, I don't know how to say this, Valporquero.
Quiero.
No, there's no I in there.
Quiero. Oh.
Valporquero. And I think, I don't know, I butchered that. But they almost reminded me. I went to these caves in Pennsylvania, and they were very similar vibes, just like mine caves. Really beautiful. So I do recommend that. And they had beautiful mountains. There were some dogs there. They were very nice dogs. And I went to a restaurant there, but it was more of like a country, but in the mountains type vibe, if you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Picking it up.
All right, good. Because I have nothing more to put down about that. So this was one of my favorite things is País Vasco, which means I think it translates to Basque country. Now, let me look that up. Basque country. Yes. And they actually speak a different language there. So they don't speak Spanish. It's like a derivative of it. And I think it's similar to French because País Vasco is on the border of France. So it's kind of a mix between French and Spanish. So I went there thinking I'd be able to talk to everybody just like I was in León, and I wasn't able to talk to anybody. So this is also on the north of Spain. And I went to 3 places there. I went to San Juan de Gaztuluguetxe, which is not spelled how it's pronounced. It's I don't even know how to spell it. I put it in my notes, and I know there's like X's in there and a lot of See, that's in that language. So it has a lot of French in it. So San Juan de Gaztelugatse actually is in Game of Thrones. It's that, I think it's the Dragon Den. I've never, Dragonstone? Yes, Dragonstone. That's San Juan de Gaztelugatse. And that's where the Targaryens' castle is, I believe. But the castle is not real. So that whole area is real, like that mountain with the pathway, that's all real. But in reality, there's just like a tiny little church on the mountain. So that big fortress that they have in Game of Thrones, the Dragonstone thing, I don't know. I told you I don't watch the show, but that big thing that they have there is not really there. So that's all CGI. But it was really cool to see in person, especially because this was right when I think the show was getting more popular when I went there. So everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is from Game of Thrones. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is pretty.
Yeah.
So it was nice to go to a movie location.
I've actually been to a few places where they shot Game of Thrones in Ireland.
Really?
So I know the feeling that you have.
I actually don't know where they shot Game of Thrones in Ireland because I think I went to Ireland before Game of Thrones was popular.
Have you been to Giant's Causeway?
No.
With all the rocks? No?
No, I don't think I did.
Okay. I'll send a picture in the chat, but that's where I was.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so maybe during our Ireland trip, maybe in 2 years, whenever we were going to go, you can take me there. Yeah, that's we did a tour around most of Ireland, but that's one of the places we didn't get to hit that I'm kind of upset about.
I mean, I wouldn't be too upset. Like, it's beautiful, but I wouldn't be crying if I didn't get to go there.
I mean, I'm not crying.
I don't know. I see a tear in your eye.
It must just be the camera. I do have an eyelash on my eye, so now that you mention it.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Anyway.
San Juan de Gaztelugatse, that's one of the places I went to in País Vasco. I also went to this city called Bilbao. And I mean, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in Bilbao, but again, Bilbao, they don't speak Spanish there. They speak whatever language they speak. I think I stayed overnight in Bilbao, actually. But I stayed in like this really I don't know why we stayed there, honestly. There was literally nothing there. I think there was a strip club across the street. And we didn't go. And then that was it. So we stayed in a really weird spot. But Bilbao as a whole is very nice. It's very artistic. They have big sculptures all over the place, but like modern sculptures. And we went to, I think it's the Guggenheim. I think they have another Guggenheim besides in New York City. I think they have a Guggenheim in Bilbao. And I think that's what we went to. Let me just fact check myself. Yes, Guggenheim Museum Bilbao. It exists. So that's where we went. And it was really awesome. I'm not big into art museums, but it's part of the experience, I guess. So we did that in Bilbao, and Bilbao has like a lake that runs there, not like a river, maybe. And so that runs through the whole city. So it was a pretty city. I had a good time there. I wouldn't spend too much time there, but I liked Bilbao. And the third place I went to in País Vasco was San Sebastian, which I think was probably my favorite in País Vasco. And it was a beautiful, beautiful beach. And it was very Mediterranean feeling. The water was really pretty. I had the best mojito I ever had there.
Oh, wow. That's a big statement.
Highly recommend. Yeah. And I dropped my hamburger in the sand there. So that was very sad.
Oh my gosh. As you're talking, I'm actually looking at pictures. So pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And there's a place you could stand where you can get an overhead view of it. Like that picture you just showed me. I've taken those pictures myself. Yeah, you can get it.
Is that where you stood?
It's hard to see.
It's hard to see because my camera's blurry, but
yeah, it's very hard to see. But it looks
Sorry.
similar to, yeah, that kind of looks like it. Yeah, it was kind of like an overlook of the whole beach. So
wow.
I had a great time there. It was just kind of a day trip part of it. I think we had like 2 or 3 days in País Vasco. So we got all that done in 2 or 3 days. So that was País Vasco. And we also went to Valencia de Don Juan, which was kind of a smaller type town. honestly, I don't really totally recommend it unless you don't have that much to do. It was, I don't know, nothing to write home about. But they had a bullfighting ring there, which I'm not into bullfighting, but we did go to the
What
ring.
is bullfighting?
So I didn't watch a bullfighting show. We just kind of walked around the ring. They gave us a tour of it. But bullfighting is like an old Spanish tradition. Like it's a guy that he has to kill the bull or the bull kills him, basically, kind of thing. So
Wait, is that real? Like they still do that?
yeah. Yeah, I don't like it.
I feel like that sounds not really okay.
It's not okay. Yeah, a lot of people protest against it. And actually the movie, what movie is it? Is it called like Ferdinand? Yes, Ferdinand. I think
Oh, the
it's
Disney movie.
yeah, it's actually like a commentary on that whole situation. It's almost it's
Yeah.
and it that movie made me cry. I don't like bullfighting. I only went to that place because we had to,
Yeah.
but we walked around the bullfighting ring. They gave us like a whole tour of it. Yeah, it's like like those guys with the red flags and the bulls go all
I see
crazy.
them, but I didn't realize that they died. I just thought they like rode them or did something with them.
No, like a rodeo, like they ride them, but this
Yeah.
they stab them. Like I'd say they pretty much always die at the end. Yeah.
Oh my, I would literally
Um,
cry if I went.
yeah, like I'm almost crying talking about it. Like that's so
That's so
sad.
sad.
And bullfighting's such a big thing in Spain. So that wasn't the only bullfighting ring we went to. We went to another one in Madrid. And the one in Madrid is very big. It's like very established. This one is more of a smaller one, but yeah, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
And Valencia de Don Juan, it was a very small town. Overall, I don't know, unless you're like super into bullfighting, don't go. I
Yeah,
don't,
I probably wouldn't go.
yeah, I don't know. It was an okay day. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It happened.
Kind of brought down the mood, right?
Yeah, it did. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is another Valencia in Spain, which I didn't go to. Let me look it up just to fact check myself. But I think there's another Valencia in Spain that's like, yeah, there is another Valencia in Spain. It's not the same one. And that one's a lot nicer. Go to that one, not this one.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't really have too much more to say about that. It's just I think there was a castle we went to there too. Nothing to write home about. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we went wine tasting. I think it was in that area. It might not have been in Valencia, but I think it was in that area. And also, nothing to write home about. I got good wine, but you can get good wine anywhere.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we did that. And yeah, I have nothing more to say about that. We went to Portugal actually on one of my free weekends. I took a trip to Lisbon, and we could have a whole nother podcast about that. I don't want
We
to.
should.
Yeah, because I have a like it's a whole different culture. I don't want to mix that in too much with this, but it is doable. We went to the way we did it was I think we took the train from León to Madrid. We stayed overnight in Madrid a couple of nights and then flew from Madrid to Lisbon.
Mm. Wow.
So we got it done.
How
And
long did it take to get there?
not long. I'd say like hour and a half.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is not bad at all.
I mean, do not quote me on that, but it was quick. I'd say like
Yeah.
within the hour range. Yeah. Maybe even
Wow.
shorter than an hour and a half.
Wow.
I slept the whole flight, but I mean, it wasn't a long flight. Like, so
Yeah, we have definitely have to do a podcast episode on that because Portugal, I feel like nobody really talks about, but I feel like you could find some really cool stuff there.
Portugal's beautiful. I have a
Yeah.
lot to say about Portugal, and yeah, I'm not going to say any of it here because I don't want to ruin that podcast. But I
Yeah.
totally recommend Lisbon. I wish we were there longer because
Mm.
I feel like there was so many things that I wanted to do there that I didn't get to do there, and Portugal's on my list to go back to, I would say.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, Portugal, we did that, and we ended the trip in Barcelona.
Ooh.
So I love Barcelona. Barcelona is probably my favorite city in Spain. I've been there twice, actually. I went there. That was my first, well, my first abroad trip technically was Canada, but my second like real abroad trip was Barcelona. So that's like what really opened me up to the world was Barcelona. So it always has like a special place in my heart. And this was my second time going to Barcelona during this trip. And it was a different
Mm.
experience because the first time I went, I was 16 with my family, and this trip I was an adult with my friends. So
Yeah, definitely different vibes.
yeah, and we had a great time in Barcelona. We did a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go into that here. because I could
Do you
honestly,
think it could be its own podcast or?
yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can make that another podcast. Or if it can't be, we could loop that in with the Portugal podcast because I feel like if you have a lot to say, we shouldn't rush through it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to rush through Barcelona. I have a lot to say about Barcelona. I
That's true
love,
because you've been there twice at two different times in your life. So I think that would be a really cool experience to share.
yeah, I love Barcelona. I definitely want to do a podcast on that actually.
Cool.
Not,
So we have two new podcast ideas.
yeah, right?
Look at
And
us.
also, what did we say? Segovia.
Wow.
3. Yeah,
Wow. We're on fire.
we really are. Good for us. Because earlier today we were like, are we running out of ideas? Good.
No, we didn't say that because, sometimes it just depends on the vibe. Sometimes a topic is way too much for what you're feeling that day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always tired, so everything seems almost
You're
too
always
much for me.
tired, but you always do stuff.
I know. Yeah, I push myself. That's my thing. Like, it seems like I have unlimited energy, but I just push myself to my limits.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah, you take care of yourself.
Aw.
Be like Katie.
Oh, so sweet. Wow. So that sounds like an amazing experience. It sounds like you had so many positives in that trip. So I guess I kind of want to shift the conversation a little bit and ask you, did you have any cons of the trip?
You know, I think tensions did get high at some points with some people just because we were stuck in a group with each other the whole time. And I made my own group of friends, no problem. From right off the bat, I made a great group of friends who I still talk to today. But I think the people that I wasn't so close with did wind up getting annoyed at me, and I got annoyed with them, and vice versa. So it was a great experience overall, but there's always those people that you just like, just weren't my people, and we had to be around each other the whole time, and tensions were high sometimes. Like, there was this one time we were on the bus, we were coming back from wine tasting, and this girl, she was like kind of part of our friend group, but she on the bus, I was joking around with my friend. We were making bee puns. We were just the whole time so stupid.
That's so
And
dumb.
she didn't yell at me, but I mean, she didn't yell at him, but she yelled at me. And she was like, you're really annoying. From the beginning of the trip, I never liked you. And I was like, whoa.
I love that reaction. Whoa.
Like, my jaw dropped when she said that because she like literally just turned around and went off. And like me and all my friends, like our jaws were just like on the floor.
That's really funny.
So, I think just tensions do get high when you're on a trip with people. Yeah.
Okay, but I feel like she's a lot.
Yeah, like I would have never said that.
No. And I feel like I would have found it so, I mean, obviously me and you would have found it funny.
Yeah.
But even if I didn't know you, I would have been like, that's funny. But we also have similar senses of humor.
But yeah, it didn't hurt my feelings when it happened because I was just like, whatever. But I was just like, what? Like, it just came out of nowhere.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I was like,
That's really funny.
so yeah, I think just when you're with people for that long, and especially like she said, she didn't like me from the beginning. I think
Like
just,
she said.
I think that just brings out the worst in you when you're stuck with someone you don't like, I guess.
That is true.
So, I mean, that kind of happened on our Galapagos trip also. Like, some people on our trip found us annoying for whatever reason, and they were mean to us the whole time.
Sometimes you just have different energy, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like people who put down other people, who are annoyed by other people, I think there's something in themselves. Like, I feel like they honestly kind of want to be similar. Like, I felt like those girls in the Galapagos trip, they wanted to have friends who were so close with, they could laugh with, they could do that with, and they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was they banded together and they felt the need to talk about us because they didn't have anything else to talk about or to do together. That's just my own opinion.
Yeah, because they weren't that close. They were really just
No.
friends by like, because the situation brought them together. But
I feel
we
like they
were
honestly
friends,
wanted
yeah.
because what they hated us for was like, oh, they're going out to a club right now. It's a little late for that. And it's like, girl, like, that's really what you're hating on me for? Like, don't hate from outside of the club.
Yeah, you can't even get in.
Can't even get in.
Lego.
Lego. Similar energy.
See, and they would have hated us for saying that.
Oh, they would have been like, shut up. Yeah.
One of them said she wanted to strangle me with a towel. I was like, Like what? For laughing on the bus.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
Like, sorry, I'm not sitting in the back miserable like you. I want to have a good time.
I'm honestly so glad that both of us have money now. Obviously, situations, whatever, but
Yeah,
we do have money where we can just go by ourselves and we don't have to go with annoying people
I
from
know.
school
Yeah, we don't need to go with these people anymore. That's so
who want to
nice.
literally strangle us with a towel.
Nobody's trying to kill me anymore. She lives to see another day.
Oh my God. So if you're out there and you feel alone when you're traveling abroad, studying abroad, if you're with a group of people, you are not alone. People hate us too, or sometimes we don't get along with everybody. So you're not alone.
Exactly. Because I feel like a lot of the times on these podcasts, we talk about all the good times we've had, but we
Hmm.
don't so much talk about the times where people have threatened to murder us.
I feel like that could be a podcast episode, but I feel like that might also bring us down.
I think it might.
But we could also like maybe do like a tipsy like people who hate us on trips.
Bashing the haters.
Yeah. You can't get to us.
We're more famous than you. We have a podcast. What are you doing?
Oh my gosh, that's
Try
so
to
funny.
respond. You'll get shot down in the comments.
Blocked.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, so besides haters, were there any other cons? Because I know for me, if I was gonna travel abroad or study abroad, I'd probably get a little bit homesick. Did that happen with you?
Like I said before, I think it was like the right amount of time, that trip. And I did not really get homesick, no. As opposed
For
to
you.
Italy, when I studied abroad in Italy, which we could discuss on another podcast. But that was like quote unquote studying abroad. We could talk about that another time.
Mm.
It was like fake studying abroad, that trip.
I mean, how long was that for?
It was a little less time, but I was homesick that whole time.
I also think it depends on who you go with because yeah, that girl and you didn't vibe, clearly.
It's
But
weird because we did and we didn't. Like there was times I got along so well with her.
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, very strange.
But you
But
had your own group of people that you enjoyed.
yes.
So I'm sure they made it better and made it less likely to get homesick.
Yeah, like I was so sad to go home at the end of it, as opposed to
Wow.
Italy, like I mentioned in the last podcast. I couldn't wait to go home.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think the length of time matters. I think it's just the experience you're having because I was in Spain for longer than I was in Italy
Mm.
and I was not homesick. But
That's actually really true. I never really considered that. Like, it doesn't really matter about the time, it matters about the experiences that you have that will make it more or less likely to get homesick.
yeah, and I never really thought about that till now.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting to think about.
Yeah, we ponder.
We ponder.
What about safety? Did you feel safe overall, or were there some times where you felt uncomfortable?
I felt very safe. I think I think that through walking through the city, I never ran into any weird situations. Nobody ever said anything weird to me. Nobody ever came up to me. I don't know, it just felt very safe. I really did feel safe. And even walking home, sometimes I would walk home super late at night and it was really dark. And I would call my mom sometimes while I was walking home just to feel secure.
I mean, that's
But
very smart, even if there was like no threat. It's just that's a very smart strategy.
yeah, just because I'm a small person and it's on your own. Because I was walking home by myself. Another reason why my apartment was not very ideal is a lot of people were in the same area and nobody was in my area. So
Mm.
whenever people would walk home, some people were able to walk home most of the way together. But for me, I was pretty much on my own the whole time. The
Mm.
only time I ever had someone walking home with me it's actually really embarrassing. I couldn't always open my door because the key would I just had issues with my key. Turns out in the beginning of the trip, actually, I was like blowing up the group chat because I was like, this key doesn't work. Someone help me with this key. How do you use this key? And everyone was like, just use the key. Like, what's your problem? And turns out I was trying to open the wrong door for like 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Stressful.
sometimes my friend would walk me home because he was a guy and he was strong and I couldn't open my door. So even though his house was kind of far away, so I felt really bad. But
Don't feel bad. That's
yeah,
what men are for.
that's
The good
true.
ones. That's what they have to be for because otherwise us ladies are at risk.
It was his duty. And yeah, I feel
Yes.
like they should have put a guy in my house actually, because mine was just so far from everything. I feel like why would you make the smallest, frailest girl walk by herself
The
for that
smallest,
long?
frailest girl. That's true, actually.
Yeah, so I mean, the placement of me, I'm not sure if it was right. I mean, my family was great, but I don't know. They could
Yeah.
they could have put me in a more populated area.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it was a little hard meeting up with people because of that. Everyone was like, "Yeah, we're like 2 minutes from each other. I could just walk to her house really easy." And I'm like, "Well, it's 30, 40 minutes from me, so just give me a
Oh, yeah.
little bit."
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, but I mean, safety wise, it was fine. Like I think my part of town was actually the quote unquote least safe,
Wow.
but it still felt very safe. I just say compared to everything else, it was the least safe,
Mm,
but it was not unsafe.
okay. So that's good.
Yeah. I
So, oh, what were you gonna say?
I don't know, probably just something stupid.
Oh.
Just filling space.
Just feeling space. Okay, so getting towards the end, we're wrapping it up. Would you recommend this study abroad trip to anybody else or just any study abroad trip to people?
Absolutely. I mean, I think this was a very specific trip to our school. I'm not sure if actually, no, I don't want to say that because that's lying. Other schools do go to León. I was about to say I'm not sure if other schools go to León, but they absolutely do because I made friends from other schools while I was there. There was actually a group of kids from Yale who I didn't really connect with because they're from Yale.
Yeah, makes sense.
But they were there, and there was
Wow.
some people from California who we became friends with. So other schools actually do go to León, and I think they had a somewhat similar trip to what I had. So
Hmm.
León, I would 100% recommend. I would recommend studying abroad in general, though, to anybody. I'm sure it's a different experience wherever you go, but I just loved my time, and I wish I could do it again. I feel like it was long enough, but also at the same time, I wish I was there for longer. I just so many good memories of León. I don't think I have a bad memory at all from that trip, besides maybe that time when that girl yelled at me on the bus for no
Yeah.
reason. But it was just so pleasant. And I think it was really important for me to go on also because I didn't go away to school. So this was my
True.
independence experience in a way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you said that you made some friends. Do you think it was easy to make friends on your study abroad?
I think it was very easy. Yeah, right off the bat, I made a great group of friends. Like I said, I went into it with someone who was sort of my acquaintance at the time, but we became friends through the trip. We got really close, and we're still close to this day. She's actually in the hospital having a baby right now. I'm so happy for
Aw,
her. Yeah, so she's one of my closest friends. So that is something beautiful that came out of it.
yeah.
And some of my other great friends came out of that trip too. And I still keep in touch with them. And I went into it knowing her, but my other friends, I met them just out of convenience because one of my friends, her hair straightener broke, and she was like, "Oh, can I borrow yours?" And I was like, "Sure." And I gave it to her, and then mine was broken too. And so she was like, "Do you want to go out in the city with me and just go buy hair straighteners?" And so that's what we did, and that's what we bonded over is broken hair
Aw,
straighteners.
that's really
And
cute.
yeah, and then she introduced me to her friend, and that was the guy that would always help me open my door because I was frail. And so we just had like a really great group of people. And
That's
we
really
made
cute.
friends so easily. Everyone wanted to be friends because we were all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
And we even made some friends in Spain. That guy that I was just mentioning, he made friends at the park in Spain. I think he was playing ping pong with them, and then they wound up hanging out with us and going. They were from Leon. They lived there their whole lives, and they wound up going out with us a bunch of times. And it was really awesome just meeting people from that culture too. And I'm still friends with them on Instagram and everything.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so beautiful. I
so
love
many
that.
great relationships came out of that trip.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, do you have any advice for people who want to study abroad or who are in the process? Maybe they're like about to study abroad or even they're studying abroad right now. Like, what advice do you have for those people?
I think so. Like we said before about choosing your destination based on like really putting thought into it. Because I think if I would have gone somewhere else, like if I changed my major to go to Italy, That would have been horrible.
Yeah.
I think that would have made the trip a little sour because I would have been majoring in food and wine, and I don't like food.
You don't even like food. Yeah.
I don't like food. And at the time I was like, I liked wine, but I wasn't into wine as much as I am now. So I would just like, what would I do with that? I'm not good at cooking. I'd burn water. Like I just no,
Yeah.
that would have
That's
been
not
so
you.
bad. So I think you really need to put thought into it. Just don't say, yeah, I'm gonna rearrange my schedule to go to Italy just so I can go to Italy because uh, it's gonna ruin your life. So I
That's
think
true.
you really need to put a lot of thought into it. Even Australia, it wouldn't have been that bad because it would have only thrown me off a semester. But I actually remember my advisor was like having a fight with the study abroad person on the phone and they were like yelling at each other and I was just in the room and they were on speaker just yelling at each other because he didn't want me to go because he was saying it would hold me back too much and she was like she has to go you don't understand so
Wait,
that's
this is for what country?
for Australia.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my advisor was saying like it'll hold you back too much. Like, yeah, they have the classes, but it's just not in the right order and you'll just be in college forever. And she was like, you don't know what you're talking about. She has to go. And they were literally like disrespecting each other like crazy back
Oh,
and
and you were
forth.
just sitting there like, never mind, guys.
Yeah, I was just like, I'll see myself out.
Yeah.
It's
That's
so
really
funny.
funny. But that's really good advice. And like we said, like that aligns to last week's episode about aligning with your values. Study abroad may sound fun, but if you know yourself and you know it won't be fun, then really reconsider.
Yeah, I think it's not for everybody. I mean, I personally really enjoyed my time. But if I was more reserved on that trip, I don't know that I necessarily would have because I think part of the whole experience that made it fun for me was going out with my friends and meeting new people. And
Mm-hmm.
if I was like someone that just didn't like meeting new people or was like really tired and just wanted to sleep the whole time, I don't think I would have had a good time. So I think you really need to also know yourself and know if you'd like studying abroad to even get into it.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that. Anything
And
else you want to talk about?
I mean, advice for people that are studying abroad now or are planning on studying abroad and like have something planned. I
Mm-hmm.
just live out the whole trip to its fullest. Take a lot of pictures, remember everything, and don't honestly, I didn't let the classes hold me back. I mean, I didn't do as good as I wanted. I
Don't
didn't
let the
fail them
classes
either.
hold me back.
But I don't want, I'm not, this is not bad advice. Don't fail your classes. Do well in your classes. But also, I just didn't let them ruin my experience of the culture. I wanted to experience the nightlife of León and have a good time with my friends. And I did. I had a great time. I have no regrets. And if I could go back, I would do the exact same thing all over again.
Yeah.
So I just don't want people to like stress themselves out over studying and doing well and not experiencing where they are. I guess
That's a
that's
good
my
point.
advice.
I guess it's about like finding that balance. Don't go home or back to your apartment with the host family and just study all night. What's the purpose of that? You're in a new country. There's a reason you are. So that's really good advice.
Yeah, that's how I felt the whole time. I didn't want to just, I wanted to do well in my classes, but I didn't want to come home and say, wow, I wish I actually went somewhere and did something and saw Spain. Because I can honestly say I saw Spain. I really think I saw so much of it, the culture. I know Spain and I love Spain. And it's because I really went out and did things as opposed to just studied my whole time away.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, is there really a big difference between an A and an A minus? No,
No, doesn't affect me.
exactly. So amazing.
I mean, I don't have a real job. Maybe it will affect me down the line.
Oh my gosh. But I feel like you would have done it anyway. Then you just would have taken Spanish classes at your college in Long Island.
hmm
So it really wouldn't have changed too much.
No, I'm so pleased with my experience. Even if I did worse in my classes, I still wouldn't change anything. Like even if I was telling you right now that I got a B minus or a C in my class, I still wouldn't change a thing
For sure.
because
Definitely.
I had the time of my life.
Well, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
All right. So is it time for trivia?
I think it is. So do you feel like you know it? I mean, I'll say the question again,
Say the
but
question again, yeah.
okay. The question is, this country is the most multilingual country in the world.
Okay, I'm really nervous to answer this because I have a few different like trains of thought. So
Okay,
my
well,
first train of thought is I believe it's Holland. My train of thought. This is my final answer.
okay.
But my train of thought is Holland because I know they speak Dutch and I believe they also speak other languages in there. I just remembered somebody in conversation saying that. I think it was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm thinking that. But then I'm also thinking, just like another part of my brain is like, what about South Africa? Because I feel like there's so many different types of people there. Cool. So I'm thinking that. I'm also thinking Canada, because Canada has France, and I think there's also some Spanish in there, and obviously English. So I'm having so many different conflicts with myself, and I don't know what to do.
Okay, well, you have to pick one.
Okay.
And
You
then,
know what? Let me just go with my gut, because if I don't go with my gut or my initial choice,
you'll
I'll
be
hate
angry at
myself
yourself.
the most. Even
Mm-hmm.
if it's Canada, I would hate myself the most for this. So I'm going to have to go with Holland, aka the Netherlands.
Okay, no, but I see why you're saying that. That's not the answer.
Okay, what's the answer?
Do you want me to tell you now? Or do you want to
Give me
guess
a
again?
hint,
Okay. So
but
you
it doesn't have to count for
yeah,
anything.
you already didn't get the points, but this is just for funsies now.
Just for fun.
Okay, you want a hint, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's an island. Let me see. Hold on. Please hold. I think it's an island. I'm just confirming.
Okay, I have no idea.
Really? No guess?
I don't know,
Guess.
because you're saying you think it's an
Yeah,
island. You don't
okay,
know if it's an island.
it's an island. It's half of an island.
But the fact that you don't even know shows me that I feel like I've never heard of this place because you're confused with the geography.
No, like I know where it is geographically, and I knew it was an island. I just needed to like confirm for just because we're on a podcast. I don't want to embarrass
But
myself
now
in
I'm
front
gonna
of the
feel
world.
stupid if I say a country and it's not an island, and it's clearly not an island.
I mean,
Is it an Asian location?
yes and no. I don't know what it's technically considered. Um,
You're stressing me out.
I'm stressing myself out.
Okay, just tell me.
It's Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, like I would have guessed Papua New Guinea.
Because I already knew that. It kept coming up in my
Wait,
trivia.
how did you know that?
I didn't I've heard it before so many times actually. And it always came up in my research whenever I was looking for trivia questions, it would just always come up. So I was like, there's no way
Wow.
Katie doesn't know this, but I'll throw her a bone.
Okay, but can I just say before if you're going to tell me more information,
Yeah.
can I tell her the official languages of the Netherlands? Because
Okay,
there's a
yeah.
lot.
Okay.
There's Dutch, Yiddish, Romani, Limburgish, Low Saxon, and Dutch Sign Language.
See, I didn't know that. I actually didn't really know
Those
they
are the
had.
official languages.
So there's obviously more. Yeah.
Like more that people just speak, but that's official.
So I don't know how many official languages Papua New Guinea has, but I know how many languages they have total.
How many?
They're the country with the okay, so this actually is going to be part 2 of the question. I'll give you a half point if you can get it. I'll tell you it's in the hundreds. So
I just looked it up, Julie. I'm not even
why
gonna lie.
would you do that?
Because I looked it up before you
No!
asked the question. We were on the same mind track.
Katie.
850.
It's okay, so it wasn't 850 on mine. It was 839. But I
Oh, it
guess
says
it's
nearly 850.
yeah, 839.
That's a
So
lot of languages. How do they even fit all those languages in that island?
I'm guessing a lot of them are like dying languages, but it says living languages.
Oh,
It says with over 839 living languages. So that
that's
means
still a lot.
they are actively spoken. Yeah,
I
that
don't
is a lot. I wonder what the
understand.
official language is. Let me see.
There's less official languages in Papua New Guinea than in Netherlands.
Wow. So in a way, you were kind of right, but that wasn't the question, so too bad. Official languages of Papua New Guinea. Okay, I don't even want to pretend I know how to say this. Talk pissin. I feel like it's not pissin. It can't be
yeah, that's not.
Cook pissin.
Julia. Oh, I see what you're saying. Cock
Yeah.
piscine.
Is that how you say it?
No, I don't know.
I feel like I just insulted their whole culture or something. I mean, no offense. I just don't know how to say that.
It's a Creole.
Toke piscine. Oh, really? And then English, and then also Hirimotu. Hirimatu? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't want to pretend I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, lots of languages.
Talk pissin. That is it.
Talk pissin? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought I was insulting them
Talk
for saying
pissin.
that.
No, you're right.
Wow.
That's what Google says. I mean, they could be wrong, but then Google's wrong, not us.
Yeah, I feel like Google pronounces a lot of things wrong though.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't surprise me. But, I'm taking that as a win for myself.
You should, because I would never have gotten that. So,
no.
But that was interesting to know.
That's my fact. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know it actually. I thought that was kind of a giveaway. And then when you said that you thought you knew it, I was like, no.
Wait, how is that a giveaway? How would I know that Papua New Guinea has the most languages?
Because I knew that, so I just thought people knew that.
No, I did not know that.
Well, now you know.
Now I know.
Yeah, so there
All
we
right.
go. All right, so no points. We're still tied.
Okay.
Yeah, so because I couldn't give you my
I'm gonna ask
question.
such a hard one that I know already.
Okay.
I'm gonna be like, oh, you should have known this because I knew it.
Just make me feel bad like I've been making you feel bad.
I'm gonna give the same energy that I've been getting.
I know I've just been like, you're stupid because I know this and you don't.
Like the one thing that you happen to know. All right.
So fun.
Just wait for next time.
I'll be ready. I'll be quizzing myself this whole next week. Ready?
Yeah, me too.
But I mean, I feel like there's gonna come a time where we're gonna be like, oh yeah, I know that because I've looked that up, because we're gonna start seeing each other's questions come up.
I'm gonna look up. No, I'm not gonna be basic. I'm gonna really I'm gonna go to the library and
oh my God, like that Ireland question you gave me.
That was a good one though.
It was a good one, but it was impossible. And you knew that.
Nothing is impossible. Only slightly plausible. I don't know the quote.
You really think I had a chance at getting that Ireland painting question?
No, I knew you didn't, but I think the people at home would have liked it.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
It was for the audience, really.
Yeah, I feel like most of these are for the audience, and one of us is going to get a free drink out of it, but it's not really about us, is it?
Never is.
Never is. Never was.
Never will be.
It might at some point.
Maybe for you, but I'll always be about the audience.
So. Yeah, the way you brag when you get a question right, it's not about the audience at all for you.
The way you brag.
The way you talk about that free drink.
I'm very humble.
All right. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
All right. So
Anyways.
This was a great episode. We're still having the podcast, guys. We're not breaking up, even though it may seem like it.
Yeah, this happens.
What do we always say? We always fight, but we never actually fight.
Yeah, it's true. We bicker.
We're like an old married couple.
We are. We really are.
Yeah.
In the best way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had like an actual real fight.
I've never even wanted to fight with you.
I've never wanted to fight with you either. There's nothing to fight with you about.
I feel like when I hang out with you, it's just hanging out with myself.
I know. Yeah. Right.
Like another part of me.
I know. Yeah, because like even when we like disagree on things and like quote unquote fight, like we're laughing the whole time. Like it's like a funny fight. It's never.
Wait, I actually wanted to say something. I know it's like the end of the podcast. We're about to cut off.
Okay.
But I actually wanted to tell you it because we did mention it on the podcast, and I think it's really funny.
Okay.
Okay. So do you remember when you said that you were in Greece?
No, because I never went to Greece.
Oh my God. No, not the country, the play.
Oh yeah.
No, when you were in like the Greece.
I was like, did I lie on the podcast?
No, in Grease the musical.
Yes.
And you said you played that girl, Marty or something?
Yeah.
And you said you sang the song that got cut out.
Yes. Freddie, My Love.
Yes. Okay, do that. So that song has been my favorite song from Greece, but I did not know it was from Greece. I always listened to that song, and it always had like the Greece like picture in the back with Sandy and Danny. And
Yeah.
I was like, I guess this is in Greece, but it's not in the movie, so I don't know why that's there. So when you mentioned that, I did not put two and two together that was the song that you sang.
That's so
Because
funny.
Julia, that is my favorite. Like, I know all the lyrics. That is my favorite. Like, it's just funny.
Oh, we could sing it one day. We could make our own music
Daddy,
video. You know how I miss you more than words can say.
Can we please?
We were not in sync at all.
That's not our fault. That's the
it was lagging.
Wi-Fi. Yeah.
I was trying so hard while we were doing that to get in sync with you, and then I was like, no.
Me too, but it just wasn't happening. But anyway, Soul Sisters.
Soul Sisters.
And yeah, that is the podcast for today.
Yep. I think that's everything. Good podcast. Good show.
And that's a wrap.
Yep. Me and Katie have some singing to get to.
Yep.
Okay. So, my usual rant at the end of the podcast. If you want to find us online, it's www.runwaysandbyways.com. You could find our podcast, obviously, on Spotify and on YouTube. I'm going to try to put pictures with this one, but don't hold me to it. I'm not good at editing things. So if there's no pictures, I really apologize. And what am I forgetting? Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. What am I forgetting?
Our services?
Yes, travel planning services. So we have the travel planning services on my blog, runwaysandbyways.com. We do travel destination choosing. So if you need your location chosen for you, if you're indecisive like I am, we will choose your destination for you. We'll give you recommendations on where to go, what to do. So travel recommendations and travel advice. So any questions you have. So those are our services, and they are reasonably priced, and we worked very hard. I also worked hard on a freebie on my blog. It is a travel planner, budget travel planning. So if you want to know how I map out my trips and my money, you can check that out. Am I forgetting anything? I feel like I am. I'm very scatterbrained today.
No, I think you mentioned everything. Pinterest, Instagram.
I didn't mention Pinterest. I didn't mention Instagram. So thank you.
You're welcome. Your other brain.
Yeah. Soul Sisters. Yeah, see, it's like hanging out with my other half.
Exactly. The better half.
All right. I think
but then you're my better half too.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that you were just the better half.
No, we're each other's better halves.
I was like, that's enough.
That's enough. Forget everything I just said. No more podcasts.
Yeah, no more podcasts. This is the end. Okay, so I think that's everything now. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for our next episode of the Runways and Byways Travel Podcast, if we're still getting along at that point.
Can't wait.
Whether your plane is taking off from the runway
or you're driving down a byway,
we'll be your guides
through it all.